In this video, I'm going to provide you with a couple of ideas and construction repair methods for anyone who cannot remove and trace an existing tread. You might even have a landing tread that is going to be dry rotted or damaged somehow to where you're not going to be able to trace it, and you're going to transfer the measurements and the angles from something like this down to a piece of plywood. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to assume that this is going to be square or a 90-degree angle. And if that's the case, all you need to do is measure from this point to this point and from this point to this point, and then transfer those measurements to another piece of plywood. And in our example here, we have 44 inches in each direction, and we would simply mark the plywood while using the square corner on the new piece of plywood, 44 inches, 44 inches, and then draw a straight line to connect those. And then we can cut our new landing tread and then position it, and if everything is lining up on the side and the front and the section going up against the riser, then you would have completed your job and you won't need to watch any more of this video. However, that's not going to be the case all the time, and you might end up with a situation where you have a gap over here or a gap over here because this section of the stairway is not at a 90-degree angle or perfectly square. And even though my gap is going to be exaggerated for illustration purposes, you'll still get the point. So if everything lines up in the front, it just doesn't line up on the side here, then all you need to do will be to go back somewhere, and the farther you go, the better off you're going to be. And in our example, we're probably about 5 or 6 inches away from the corner. Then you're simply going to make a mark on your tread pattern that isn't working, and then measure the distance from the wall or the edge of the stairway to the pattern. And in our example here, we have 1 5/16 inches. Then we're simply going to take our pattern and then line the front of it up with our new piece of plywood, and then make a few minor adjustments. So one of those will be to make a mark here, because we're going to be connecting this corner to our new line that we have drawn in there, and then make sure that you draw this line here all the way through. And then with your template positioned, you're going to be able to measure over from it the distance that you need, and then create a line going this way and a line going this way, because this is the point you're going to be connecting your new line to. And hopefully that makes sense. However, if it doesn't, let's go ahead and remove our template, and this should make a little more sense here. Go ahead and rotate it. And of course, all we're doing is connecting this line to this line and drawing a straight line through. Then we can cut our new angled tread and position it in place to make sure that everything is lining up, like I said, along the edge of the riser. And if you have small gaps, maybe even up to 3/8 of an inch, that might not be a problem. However, I will leave that up to you whether it's going to be a problem or not. Sometimes you can fill these areas in with caulking or some type of wood fillers also. If the angled tread you have cut is not going to be finished material and, for example, might be covered with carpeting or some type of wood flooring, then it won't be as big of a deal, because sometimes these lines are not going to be perfectly straight, even though you have cut everything perfectly straight. Now, for those of you who think that this might be out of square, or you just want to double check it, then simply grab a framing square or something that is square and line it up with the front. And if everything is nice and tight, then it's going to be square. However, if there is a gap at this end or a gap at this end, then you're not going to have a 90-degree angle here. And using this method, you're going to be able to create this line here and the line that is out of whack a little bit, and then line it up to where you can connect the dots to create a tread that should fit, instead of cutting a template, sliding it in, and then wasting any lumber. So in order to do this, like I said, you're going to line one side of the framing square up with the front edge of the riser or platform, and then simply come over to the end and draw a straight line across. And it wouldn't be a bad idea to draw a line in this direction also, and then measure this distance. And this is the distance that we are going to be transferring to the sheet of plywood that we are going to be using to cut our new angled tread. So here we have a line that is going to be square, coming in this direction here. However, like I said, you might have a wall that's going in the other direction and producing a gap at this end here. And even though I won't be providing you with an example of that, you can probably get a pretty good idea how you're going to need to fix that one by simply lining the square up and then measuring from this distance here to the edge of the framing square instead of the distance at the other end. And if for whatever reason you're having a difficult time with that, feel free to leave a comment in the comment area and I'll see if I can help with that. So here we have the square and our measurement, and we're simply going to take our framing square and line this edge up with the front of a piece of plywood, and then draw a line here, measure over the distance 13/16 so that we can create our new out of square step. So not too difficult. We're going to place a mark here and then mark some of this to where we can create this line here, or should I say intersecting point, so that we can draw a straight line from this point to this point here. And if everything works out, then this will be the line that will represent the edge of the step or the wall. And again, like I said, my measurements are a little drastic here. If you're only off 1/8 of an inch, then you can still use this method to get everything to work out. Or in some cases, 1/8 of an inch isn't going to be that big of a deal. And again, I will leave that up to you. So here we have 3 foot 8 inches in the front. And if you remember when we had our square step, it was 3 foot 8 inches to this point here. So measuring from here to here, 3 foot 8, from here to here, 3 foot 8. So we have 3 foot 8 here, 3 foot 9 and 9/16 from here to here. So just a little over 1.5 inches, and then we're simply going to transfer these measurements here to the piece of plywood. And of course those measurements would look something like this: 3 foot 8 in the front and 3 foot 9 and 9/16 on the side. So not too difficult. And then once we have these marks on both ends, we can simply draw a straight line and connect the dots to get this line here. So not too difficult, I hope. However, like I said, if you have any problems with this, or even anything that works better, then feel free to share them with us in the video comment area. And any questions I will answer as soon as possible. Comments I will reply to as soon as I can. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up or like button if you learned something or enjoyed the video.